Good morning, students. I am Dr. Seema Gupta, Assistant Professor from FC College for Women, Hisar. In today's lecture, we will learn about plant movement. Especially, the focus will be on movement of curvature. The topics which are included in today's lecture will be classification, movement of curvature, variation movements, growth and curvature movement, and the references. This is the flow chart of the plant movements, the types of the plant movements. In the previous lecture, we have studied that this plant movement, they are of two types. Physical movement, vital movements. In physical, further they are of two types, xerocracy, hydrocracy, and these vital movements, they are of two types, that is the movements of locomotion, which are further of two types, autonomic and paratonic, and autonomic they are further of three types, ciliary, amoeboid and cyclosus, paratonic of also three types, phototactic, chemotactic and thermotactic. This all we have included in the previous lecture. We learned this, and in today's lecture we will focus on the movements of curvature. This whole part we will study in today's lecture. This is movements of curvature. They are of two types, growth movements and variation movements. Growth movements, they are further of two types, paratonic, that is also known as the tropic movements, and the autonomic movements. Similarly, variation movements, they are also of two types, paratonic, which is also known as nestic, and the autonomic variations. Paratonic and movements, the nestic movements, which are also known as, they are of four types, seismonestic, thigmonestic, chemonestic and nyctinestic. Paratonic movements, they are also of further, they can also be further divided into the five types, that is phototropic, geotropic, hydrotropic, thigmotropic and chemotropic. These five types, they are based on the type of the external stimulus which the plant is getting. Here it is light, gravity, water, touch or the chemicals. This all we will study in detail in today's presentation, in today's lecture. Autonomic, nestic and the nutational movements, these are of autonomic movements, they are also of two types. We will study each and every subtopics in detail. Now the first thing is, what is movement of curvature? In the last lecture we studied movement of locomotion. Locomotion means the plant or the plant part, they move from one place to another place. But in higher plants, as they are fixed to the substratum, they only move their plant parts, and these plant parts, there may be the movement because of the difference in the growth of the plant part. So because of the difference in the growth, there are curve formation, and these are known as the movement of curvature. So in higher plants, the movements, they are restricted only to the bending or curvature of some of their plant parts. And these curvatures, these movements, they may be directional or they may be non-directional. The curvature movements, they are further of two types. In the graph we have studied it, that they are of two types, variation movements and the growth movements. Both these movements, they are further of two types, autonomic and paratonic. Autonomic means, we studied in before, that it is the spontaneous type of the stimulus. Paratonic, this stimulus is induced by the external stimuli, and this is by the internal stimulus. In variation movements, the curvature or the bending of the plant part is temporary. In variation movements, the bending, the curvature, it is temporary, while in case of the growth movements, the curvature is permanent, because growth is the permanent type of the development. It is non-reversible, but variation is generally because of the change in turgidity, and it is a reversible process if the growth is not included. But sometimes in variation also the growth is there. But in growth movements, it is always accompanied with the growth. Now we will take firstly the variation movements. They are temporary change in the position, as the curvature movements are not accompanied by the growth. Such movements are due to the reversible turgor change. Turgidity changes. Sometimes it is more turgid, other time it is flexed. And this movement is because of the change in the turgidity. Variation movements, they are further of two types, autonomic variation movements and the paratonic variation movements. What is autonomic variation movements? The movement of variation which occurs without external stimuli. It is autonomic. Autonomic is internally induced. And this internal stimulus changes the turgidity of the plant. It is known as the autonomic variation movements. The best example of the autonomic variation movement is the telegraph plant, Indian telegraph plant. This is also known as the Desmodium gyrans. The botanical name of this plant is Desmodium gyrans. In this plant, you can see here, there are small lateral leaves, pair of lateral leaves. And these lateral leaves, this is in the dotted light shade. So this leaf, it goes up or down because of the change in the turgidity, and in this way the plant shows the movement. And this plant, it shows up and down movement during the daytime. Paratonic variation movement. The movement of a plant part in response to an external stimulus, in which the direction of response is not determined by the direction of the stimulus. The direction of response is not determined by the direction of the stimulus is known as the nestic movement, or we can say it as the paratonic variation movement. Nestic movement is not a directional movement of the plant part with response to the stimulus. So just remember this thing, that this is not the directional movement in response to the stimulus. In nestic movement, from whichever direction the stimulus is applied, it affects all the parts of the organ of a plant equally, and they always move in the same direction. This movement takes place in the flat organs of the plant. The flat organs are, these are like leaves, petals of the flowers. These movements, they are mainly due to change in turgor. But in some cases, some growth is also there. So, if the turgidity of the cells, it changes, exosmosis or endosmosis takes place, due to that the cells, they may become turgid or they may become flexed. So mainly because of this change in turgor, this paratonic variation movement, it takes place. The direction of the movement is determined by the organ, and it is not determined by the stimulus. on the basis of the type of the stimuli. They may be the classic paratonic variation movement. They may be classified as seismonestic, nyctinestic and thigmonestic. In thigmonestic, the stimulus is touch. In nyctinestic, it is light and heat. And in seismonestic, it is mechanical stimulus. The first one is the nyctinestic paratonic variation movement. These movements of the plant organ occur in response to day and night. That is, the intensity of the light is causing change in the intensity of light. It causes the particular type of the movement, and thus they are also known as the sleep movement. You can see here in this picture that Acacia tortuosa, in this plant, this picture is when in the daylight and this is at the night. You can see the plant type. This is the sleep movement. The plant is showing the movement because of the change in the intensity of light. This is known as the nyctinestic movement. This is the nyctinestic closure of the leaflets. Now the next is the photonestic movement. If the movement is induced by the change in the light intensity, here also it is because of the change in the light intensity. This is photonestic. You can see this flower, it is open during the daytime and these petals they move upward and it is closed at night. Examples are Oxalis, Pochilica, they open in day. Nicotiana and Oenothera, they open in night. Some plants they open during daytime. Some plants they open during the flowers they open during the night. Some of the leaves also of dicots, when grown in dark, they curl upward, and when transferred to light, the lamina they flatten out, they open, expand. Thermonestic. As the name itself indicates that this type of the movement is because of the change in the temperature. So, if the movement is induced by the change in the temperature, it is the thermonestic movement. The flower of tulip and the flower of saffron, they show thermonestic. They respond to an increase in the temperature by increased growth on the upper side of the perianth segments. This is the upper side of the perianth segment and this is the lower side. So if the temperature it increases, the upper side of the perianth it shows more growth, and that is why the flower it opens. So the warming up, the rising temperature cause rapid growth of the inner surface of the petals, going them outward. And when there is decrease in temperature, the decrease in temperature it however retards the growth on the lower surface. This, due to the decrease in temperature, the growth of the lower surface it retards, and it means that the inner surface, the upper surface, it shows more growth. So that is why it causes the flower to close. So the buds they are open when the temperature is increased. Next is the chemonestic plant movement. Name itself indicates that the movement change is because of the chemicals. These movements occur in response to some chemical stimulus. Strong chemonesty is exhibited by long peripheral tentacles of sundew leaves. This is a sundew leaf. Drosera is the botanical name, which respond to the presence of organic nitrogenous compounds by bending towards the middle of the leaf. So, it is the chemonestic type of the plant movement. Now, what is seismonestic? This type of movement is caused by the mechanical stimulus like shock, touch, contact. It is a very important, very interesting type of the plant movement. Even the fast moving wind, raindrops, they can also cause the movement in the plants. In some parts of the plant, seismonestic movement is seen in the stigmas, stamens, and leaves. The best example to explain the seismonestic movement is the Mimosa pudica. This is also known as the touch me not plant. You must have heard this plant. Touch me not plant, Lajvanti, we also say this plant. And also this type of the movement is seen in the Biophytum sensitivum neptunia. So these plants, they show the seismonestic movement. This is the plant seismonestic movement showing in the Mimosa pudica. Touched by the finger, you see that these pinnae, they move inward and also they come close to each other. So this is the actual leaf, and it shows after touching, it moves like this. The pinnae or the pinnules, they show such kind of movement here. This is the also the seismonestic movement. The mechanism is shown here. You can see here leaf. This is the Mimosa pudica plant. Here there are 4 pinnae, and each pinnae they have the pinnules. Compound leaf is this. This is the petiole, and each leaf, this is the leaflet. At the base there is a swollen part. This is known as the pulvinus. When the leaf is expanded, it is like this in the cross sectional view, and when it is closed, like in this is the leaflets. They are very close to each other. This is the expanded view. You can see here what happens actually, that this leaf, these are the pinnae, and the base of the pinnae, it has the swollen part which is known as the pulvinus. This pulvinus, it has 2 types of the cells. In the lower half portion, the cells, they are made up of the thin walled cells, and the upper half of the pulvinus, it has thick walled cells. All the cells in the pulvinus, they are very loosely packed, means there are intercellular spaces. When the leaf is touched at the tip, the stimulus of touch moves from the tip to the xylem. Most probably the stimulus is in the form of the hormone, and this hormone, it travels from the xylem, from the leaf to the pulvinus, and this hormone or this stimulus, it changes the turgidity here and causes the excretion of certain chemicals, certain substances like potassium from the cell outside into the intercellular spaces. And when this chemical, this potassium, osmoregulatory substance, when it leaches out into the intercellular spaces here, then the water, it comes out of the cell. Exosmosis takes place, and due to the exosmosis, the cells, they contract, and this type of the leaves, they become like this. The leaflets, they become like this. So they come to close each other, and the even this drooping effect is also seen. The petiole, it drops down, but when the touch stimulus is removed, when you takes out your finger, then what happens, the potassium, it goes inside the cell, and again endosmosis takes place, means the turgidity, it regains the turgidity, it becomes turgid, and it expands, and the leaves, they are open like this, the same position. Otherwise, it will become like this when it is touched. This is the thigmonestic movement. This is also non-directional movement of plant in response to contact of an object. It is called as thigmonestic movement. In the leaves of insectivorous plants like Dionaea, the tentacles, these are the leaves of Dionaea, these are the tentacles. They show variation in movements on coming in contact with an insect. You can see here the insect is trapped inside the leaf. Okay. The stimulus touch of an insect is transmitted to the entire leaf, and the tentacles, they bend over it, over the insect. So this is the Dionaea, the Venus flytrap plant. You must have heard the name of this plant. So those all are the variation movements. They are mostly controlled by the change in the turgidity. Some growth was there. And now we are coming to the movements. These are the growth movements. This type of the plant movement brought about the unequal growth on different sides of an organ. Because of the difference in the growth of an organ on different sides, this type of the movement, it takes place. It is also further of two types, autonomic growth movement and the paratonic growth movement. Autonomic growth movements. These movements are brought about by the unequal growth on different sides of an organ, and this is because of the internal stimulus. They are further of two types, nutational movements and the nestic movements. Nutation. What is nutation? You must have seen this type of the plants that the leaf stem, the climbers, the tendrils, they just roll around the support. So these spiral course pursued by the apex of the plant due to continuous change of position of the growth region. The side of the supporting organ, that is the side of the supporting organ, that is in contact at a slower rate. The growth is less to the plant part which is towards this support, and which is away from this, the upper part, it shows more growth. So there is change in the growth. The part which is touched to the support, it shows less growth. The part which is not in touch shows more growth. So more growth cause bending. The side of the supporting organ that is in contact of the support grows at a slower rate than the opposite side. This brings about a curvature which helps the supporting organ in spiraling or twinning around the spore. So this type of the twinning movements you can see here in this plant. This is the nestic autonomic growth pattern. Stimulus is internal. These movements occur due to differences in the rate of growth on the two opposite surfaces of a plant organ, hyponesty and the epinesty. When the movement occurs due to faster growth on the adaxial, this is the flower, this is upper side, this is the lower side. Upper side is known as the adaxial surface, lower side is known as the abaxial or the ventral. Upper is dorsal, you can say, upper you can say, adaxial you can say. And when the movement occurs due to faster growth on the upper surface, it is said to be epinestic. So this portion, if it shows more growth as compared to this, so it shows opening of the flower. This is epinestic. And if this part it shows more growth, this it has more growth as compared to this, it is known as hyponestic, and it buds formation, closing of the flower. So this is hyponesty and it is epinesty. These movements are found in lateral branches, in leaves, in flowers. Opening of floral buds and circinately coiled leaves. They are the best example of nestic movements. Here also you can see nestic movements, bud opening of the flower. This is the circinately coiled leaf. Leaflets they are also coiled. The pin, this rachis, it is also curved. And when there is opening, all the leaflets they will open when it will become mature, this leaf. And this rachis it also expands. So this type of movement is nest. Now after autonomic curvature movements, we are now coming to the paratonic curvature movements. Growth movements which occur in response to unidirectional external stimuli. In those autonomic, it is internal stimulus, but here in paratonic movements, it is the external stimuli. Okay, which occur in response to unidirectional. Unidirectional means one side. The stimulus is present on one side and result in positioning of the plant part in the direction of the stimulus are said to be tropic movements. Depending upon the nature of stimuli, these movements they are of the following types: phototropism, geotropism, hydrotropism and the chemotropism. We will study one by one. What is phototropism? You must have heard about this phototropism. You must have performed the experiment also, that what is phototropism. These curvature movements occur when a plant is provided with artificial or natural light. The light may be natural or maybe you can have some lamp there, and they will also show the movement, the plant. The stems which generally show a curvature toward the source of light are said to be positively phototropic. So generally the stems they move towards the light, it is the positive phototropic effect, and the roots they grow away from the light, this is the negative phototropic effect. And the leaves they are at right angle to the source of light so that they can have maximum light, this is plesiotropic effect. Then what is the reason behind it? Why the plants they show this type of the phototropic effect? So the stimulus is taken, which plant part is responsible to take the stimulus? It is generally the tip, maybe the stem apices, maybe the root apices, and in stem it was found that in the coleoptile, the stimulus is just few micrometer away from the stem apex, while in the stem it may be 0.5 inches away from the stem apex. In roots it is the root tips, and it was found that it is mainly the root cap which takes the stimulus of light. And which light is mainly responsible, which is more effective, it is found that it is the blue light, but the stimulus may be because of the UV radiations. And now we come to the mechanism. It was found that auxins they are responsible for the movement of plants, phototropic movements in plants. Auxins they are synthesized at the tips, maybe at the stem tip, at the shoot tip, at the root tip. And if we studied that these tropic movements they are unidirectional, so the source of light is not at the top, they are towards one side. If the light source is like this, it is unidirectional, then what happens? The oxygens, they move from the lighted area to the darker area, from light to darker side. This movement, it may be because the oxygens, they move towards this side, or there is destruction of oxygens because of light. Photooxidation of oxygens may take place, and that's why there are less oxygens, there are more oxygens towards this side. Or the precursors of photooxygens, they are not developed into oxygens when the light is there. Any reason may be there, maybe destruction, maybe movement, or maybe the no synthesis of precursors of oxygens into oxygens. But the overall effect is that oxygens are less towards lighter side and more towards the darker side. Because of the more oxygens towards darker side, this reason, this stem part, it shows more growth, and more growth cause the bending. Okay, so this is more growth. This area is showing less growth, and because of the more growth, the bending is there. So the plant stem, it moves towards the light. Similarly, if the root is there, root tip will be here, and the more oxygens, they will be towards this side. In case of root, less oxygen prompts more root growth. So root growth will be more towards this side, and it causes bending. More growth, this is less growth, this is more growth. More growth will take place here. So the root, it shows movement away from light. This is geotropism. Growth movements induced by the stimulus of gravity. Primary roots always show downward, grow downward in the direction of gravity, and thus are positively geotropic, whereas the positively geotropic and the stem, it shows the negative geotropic effect. Here also you can see that the oxygens, due to gravity, they settle towards this side. So more oxygens prompts more stem growth, and stem moves upward away from gravity, and less oxygens cause more root growth, so downward, positive geotropic effect. The secondary lateral roots and shoots, they show a weaker response to gravity and thus take up a position at an angle to the gravitational stimulus and are called as the diageotropic. They grow at right angle to the direction of the gravity. So this is diageotropic, secondary growth. Secondary lateral roots, they show this type of the diageotropic movement. In Cycas, you must have studied, there are coralloid roots. They also show this type of the movement. Also in hydrotropism, you can see here that hydro means water, tropism means directional movement. This is the plant growing in soil, and you can see that these roots, they move. This is the water source. These roots, they move towards the source of water. This is the experiment which you can perform in your labs as well. This is the water source. This is the bucket or any cylindrical substance utensil you can have here. There are pores in it. Water is coming out of it. The plant is growing. The roots, you can see that this is growing in soil, of course. And the roots, you will see that they are moving towards the source of water. So this is the hydrotropic movement. The roots, they are showing the positive effect as they bend towards the source of water. Chemotropism. This is the movement caused by the unilateral stimulus of some chemicals. Of course, chemicals are involved. This is the very best example to explain the chemotropic effect. The pollen grain, it germinates, pollen tube is formed. This pollen tube, it grows, and the direction of growth is towards the embryo sac, towards the ovule. So this is the chemotropic effect. The movement of pollen tube through the style towards the ovary is a very good example of chemotropism. Thigmotropism, also referred to as heptotropism, it is the change in the movement orientation of a plant's growth as a reaction of touch. The orienting factor is generally hard surface. This is the hard surface that can change the direction of the plant's growth or the growth of one of its organs. What is the difference between the tropic and the nestic movement? The tropic movement is dependent on the direction of external stimulus, while in nestic movements, it is not towards the direction of the external stimulus. It occurs mostly in the plants. In special kind of the plants, you see the nestic movements. The stimulus is not diffuse, it is diffused in this case. This movement is slow because the growth is involved here, while this movement is fast because there is no growth, there is change in turgidity. So it is fast. It is irreversible because growth is involved. It is reversible because turgidity is a reversible process. Occurs in plant organs with radial symmetry, but it can occur in the bilaterally symmetrical plants such as leaves. Examples are phototropism, geotropism, and here hyponesty, epinesty, chemonesty. These are the examples. These are the references. I have taken the help of this book and these links I have given from where I have taken the help to prepare this presentation. Thank you. Thank you for attending the lecture. Thank you so much.